As we have successfully configured HDFS Namenode availability on our cluster using Cloudera Manager, before getting into the key concepts, let us review the properties by going through CoreSite.xml and HDFS site.xml files. Either you can use command prompt or command line interface or even Cloudera Manager. So first let us review with command line interface. So here I am going into the directory called etc hadoop conf. You should be familiar with this location by now, and hence I am not getting into too many details with respect to that location. The main file is CoreSite.xml. If you recollect, this CoreSite.xml have a property called fs.defaultfs, which actually have the Namenode URI. Earlier, with typical configuration, we have URI such as Big Data Server 1 blah 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 colon 8020. It has the DNS alias of the server where Namenode is running and also the port number on which that Namenode is running. Now we have two Namenodes, one is active and one is standby, and anything can be active at any point in time, and hence we cannot have DNS aliases of those corresponding nodes directly here. Instead, there is something called name service 1. This is inherited from the value which we have passed while configuring the high availability. It have asked us the name service name and we have provided as name service 1. That is what is reflecting here. Now if you come out of this and if you open hdfs site.xml file, there will be bunch of properties where this name service will be there. You can see here. All these properties have this name service 1 in them. And these are generated by Cloudera Manager automatically for you. If you are not using Cloudera Manager, you have to set these properties by yourself by tagging this name service. So the first property which you need to be familiar with is dfs.nameservices, and you can see that it has the value name service 1, which is nothing but the name of our name service using which we have configured high availability. The reason why they have this property is there is another configuration called HDFS Federation, where you can have multiple name services, and hence they have this one. And if you have multiple name services, for each name service you will have these kind of properties. However, HDFS Federation is out of scope for our curriculum, and hence I am not getting into too many details with respect to HDFS Federation. Now let us review some of the properties where we have this name service name in them. If you scroll down, there is a property called dfs.ha.namenodes.nameservice1, and then there are aliases for the servers where active Namenode and passive Namenode are running. Now if you search for this Namenode 25, you can see here Namenode 25 is part of this property. So we have the actual property name which we typically see with typical configuration, and then the name service name, and then the alias which is given to each of the servers on which these active Namenode and standby Namenode are running. Okay, now if you scroll down, there is big dfs.namenode.rpc address .nameservice1.namenode25, and it actually mapped to the DNS alias of one of the nodes and the port number 8020. Even when it comes to the web UIs, earlier we have the server where Namenode is running and port number 50070, but now we have two of them, one for each of the name nodes, which are nothing but active and passive. So this is how properties are defined as part of CoreSite.xml and HDFS.xml. The same properties which were there without name service or aliases for our servers now got the name service as well as aliases for our servers. Now let me come out of this. You spend some time in reviewing these properties in both CoreSite.xml and HDFS.xml. It will make you a bit comfortable. Now let us also review the properties using Cloudera Manager. So here I am going to the Cloudera Manager. I am clicking on HDFS, then configuration, and then you can actually search for name service 1, and it will give all the properties from both CoreSite.xml as well as HDFS.xml files. If you want to compare with older files, what you can do is you can actually go to history and roll back here, and you should be able to see the details of the changes you are being making. Also, you can go to the command prompt. You can log into the node where Namenode is running. So let me say SSH to Big Data Server 2 where Namenode is running, and then if I sudo as root and go to where run Cloudera SCM agent process, there should be the older versions of our properties files. You can go back to historical directories and you should be able to see the old CoreSite.xml and HDFS site.xml files, and you should be able to compare between the older one and new one. Now if I go back to this 88 HDFS name node and then go to CoreSite.xml, you can see that fs.defaultfs have the Namenode URI pointing to Big Data Server 2 and port number 8020, whereas the latest one, which is nothing but 128 HDFS, I have to go to this parent directory, and then I have to get into that 128 HDFS. And then if you run lsf-ltr and then open course.xml, now you have the name service under fs.defaultfs. Like this, you should be able to compare the differences between the older properties files and the newer properties files, so that you get a hang of how the properties are changed once high availability is configured. That being said, as we have configured Namenode availability successfully on our cluster and also reviewed the properties by going through course.xml as well as hdfs.xml files, now it is time for us to actually get into the key concepts behind the Namenode availability.